we can do this as interactive as we want. Actually, an invitation is to make it as interactive as we want. You can interrupt me in any moment, ask your questions. If you want to keep them till the end, it's also fine. This is going to take maybe between 60 to 90 minutes max. I intentionally made this one a pretty short one, the presentation itself. It's while I was making it, I was like, wow, there's so much that we can put into the presentation, but from the experience of previous webinars, it's very often the presentation takes so much, there's so much heady information that I tried to remove it all and just to keep the very main parts, to leave the space for questions and answers, because your questions also actually gonna give me personally and our team the understanding of what actually has to be more included. The thing is, this is not a sales presentation, so you're not going to see the prices. You're not going to see. I obviously can tell you all this information whenever if you have questions about it. But the objective of this presentation is rather to share our path, our history, our present moment, where we're heading to. The objective is to inspire us all to do the change in the world, the change that we want to see in the world, right? Like everybody on our own level, be it like Gil that starts a project in Zanzibar, or team that starts farming courses in Central Africa, or somebody maybe wants to start growing tomatoes on their terrace in New York. Doesn't matter. The question is like, we all are heading to this new world that we want to be co-creators of, rather than passive participants, because we've seen, I believe, all what passive participation is doing to the world. So it's time to take the rule, let's say, of the world in our hands. And this is the story of what can happen and what is happening if a group of individuals, very small group of individuals, starts doing things together. So it's going to be broken down. This presentation is going to be broken down on a little about the history. I will tell you also who am I, how the life brought me to the moment where I am now, so you can decide if to trust me or not. And it's going to tell you a little bit about Costa Rica and like what's the story of this land, and what are like the components of the project that we at one moment decided to do, and what do we have now, and what are we going to have soon. So yeah, this is the photo of our land, and you see it's like 4 years ago nothing grew here, and it's very true. This land is as beautiful as it is. You can see, I think you should see my screen, my cursor, my mouse. So you see we have this kind of rolling hills and this land, and I'll tell you about it. And it's just like, but the main thing is just remember that 4 years ago nothing was here when I just first found it. So welcome to the presentation or to the webinar of the ARK. We call ourselves a regenerative village, and we're located in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. Santa Teresa is located on Nicoya Peninsula, which is one of the 5 blue zones in the world. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, but pretty much blue zones are the places in the world. There are only 5 of them, where people live apparently the happiest and longest lives on the planet. And this is in Japan, in Greece, and Italy, in Loma Linda in California, and this is also Nicoya in Costa Rica. So this is the place where there are the most amount of centennials live on Earth. I hope I'm saying this word right. So anyway, welcome to our webinar. It's been almost a year since the last webinar. There was a lot where we're like head down in the creation, and time flew so fast. So I am personally a little bit rusty around the webinar. So let's see how it's gonna go. This is me. My name is Marat. I'm from Kazakhstan. I was born in 1983. This is me on our bongo truck with our financial director. Actually, whenever he comes out from Argentina, he's from Argentina, and we dress him up as a field worker, and that's how his happy face you see when he gets out of the office. My name is Marat. I was born in 1983. It was the Soviet Union still back then. So my father gave me to a military school at the age of 14. It wasn't my choice. And then I was sent to a military university in Moscow at the age of 17. But also wasn't my choice. So by the third year of that military university, I kind of jumped out of the dormitory of our university and I never came back. And that was my first step towards the freedom that at that time I was not realizing that I was doing that. And since then, I came back to Kazakhstan, and kind of life was always bringing me to those systems, you know. Like at the age of 23, I organized the first opera ball in Almaty, which is Kazakhstan's largest city. And then at the age of 28, I became an advisor to the mayor of that city. And at the age of 33, I was appointed to become the director of content and events of World Expo 2017 that we held in Astana. I don't know if you know those events. World Expo is the largest event on the planet. It happens every 4 years in different countries. The last one, I don't remember. In 2020, it was in Dubai, and the last one, I don't remember where it was. I don't follow this anymore. So pretty much, it was a governmental and politics position. And my naivete was bringing me there, thinking that I can change something from the position of government, of power, of structures, of systems. And unfortunately, being there, I realized that I cannot. So when we finished Expo, I walked away from the position and from politics, from government, and from Kazakhstan as well. And I was heading to somewhere where I didn't know at the moment where I was heading to. So the life brought me. I was thinking that I was supposed to live in Los Angeles, and I came to live in Los Angeles, and then I came for a weekend to Mexico, and I just fell in love with Mexico. And from the beginning of 2018, I moved to Mexico. I actually moved to Tulum, and I fell in love with Tulum, and it was a beautiful tropical paradise until COVID, until pandemic, and when Tulum became a party capital of the world, and I've seen how greed has flooded the small town on the Caribbean shore of Mexico. And unfortunately, the eco-conscious developments that destroyed hundreds of acres of the jungle and were planting a couple of palms and were calling them eco-developments. And I was seeing it in front of my eyes. And for the first time in my life, the place that I chose to call home, the people that I chose to call family, we were kind of homeless now, because our home was taken away from us. And I realized that wherever I'm going to go, human greed is going to be coming there. And if we want to change the narrative, we have to become the example how things can be done differently. So that exploration, for me, it was very clear that I wanted to live in Latin America. But that exploration brought me to Costa Rica. Costa Rica was always on my radar. First of all, for many things that Costa Rica is. But main question that I was kind of having and I was thinking about is like, where am I going to raise the kids whenever I'm going to have them? I still don't have the kids. And this was like, you know, I was like, where, like looking at the world, you know, remember the world of 2020, 2021, when the world was divided, or still divided, or started being even more divided. I don't know what was happening to the world back then. When governments started telling us how to behave and what to put into our bodies and how to live. And I just realized that with all my values as of freedom of choice and life, I could not afford myself to bring kids to the world, which I'm not going to be certain about on the level of like my personal influence. Obviously, it's a naive idea that we can influence the world in a whole, but in the very small scale, I was like, I had the project management skills, and now I also, because of Mexico and the love that it gave me, like I obtained this kind of larger worldview and the universe worldview and the consciousness about things. I was like, let me bring things together and let me create the project where all this can come along. So therefore, that's how the land was found. And it was found in May 2021. And the first reason why I chose Costa Rica was, first, obviously, like it's a very peaceful country. I think it's one of only 2 countries in the world, maybe. I believe it's only Costa Rica and Bhutan that don't have an army. And with everything that is happening in the world, I believe it's more and more evident that we want to be choosing peaceful places on Earth. 98% of electricity in Costa Rica is renewable, although even the ARK is fully self-sustainable on electricity. We're fully solar powered, but at the same time, the idea that the country is dedicating itself towards renewables and not running towards fossil fuels was very close to my heart. As of today, 54% of the country is under protection, so it means the green areas are protected. And also, Costa Rica is the first country that reversed the first tropical country that reversed deforestation. Not many people know, but actually Costa Rica was the first country with the highest rate of deforestation in the world. So as you can see on this photo, all these beautiful rolling hills, that actually is the result of this deforestation. This has happened with our land, and that's, you see how it was in 2021. This has happened in our land in 1966. This land was a jungle and it was deforested to these 200 acres or 80 hectares of land. They were deforested to make it a cattle range. And it's funny to see back into the history how things were unfolding. So after the Second World War, the United States in the 60s were like the time, or between 50s and 60s, was the time when the United States have experienced very quick economical boom. And let's say one of the signs of economical prosperity for families was meat consumption. So United States started importing meat from Latin American countries, and Costa Rica was one of the countries that started exporting meat to the United States. And as the result of that, people in Costa Rica started deforesting their lands, and they started making pasture lands. And as the result of that, in the end of the 70s, Costa Rica has experienced the largest droughts and almost lost all of its biodiversity. So in the beginning of 80s, the government has taken a decision to reverse deforestation and started paying farmers to stop deforesting their land. And that's how Costa Rica now became to this kind of point of 54% of the country under protection. But remember, this is a great example of the country where government and both people can take things into their own hands, and we can restore the past mistakes of humans, right? So it was an overgrazed cattle range when I met this land for the first time, and it was May 2021. And I honestly fell in love into this land straight away. We're located just 5 minutes from Santa Teresa, which is a small tourist town in front of the beach. And it just came here, and it was just like a little bit tucked away from the business of the town, but at the same time close enough to the beach that you can go every day. But also the land was very tired. It was, like even the first people that came here, it all felt like there was no shade, there was no water standing here and we made an analysis of the flora and fauna that was happening here, and we found only 13 types of different trees and plants on the land. And this was like, and obviously there were like almost no wildlife, right? Aside of the cattle, which is not technically wildlife, and maybe a couple coyotes and couple types of birds. And that felt like the correct place to start the ARK. If we think about the ARK, the name of the ARK, right, this is like at that time in May 2021, the world was still in the middle of pandemic. And I was thinking about the name, and I really wanted the name, the ARK, to be in the name of the project. So like, this vessel that, and remember, the 2020, 2021 really felt like the end of the civilization in a sense. And I was thinking like, wow, it would be so great to have the name that would carry this meaning of creating something or preserving something good from the past and bringing it to this new civilization. So we were kind of reminiscing about different names. And then I was like, let's just call it the ARK. The world is crazy. Let's be crazy ourselves as well. And we're just going to call it the ARK. So the ARK was supposed to happen into something which was empty. The ARK could not happen in the place where we had to cut the jungle or destroy wildlife in order to bring humans to live. The ARK had to come into something that was so tired, so exhausted, that it had to kind of bring this new fresh breath to the land. And that's what we did. So that's how the ARK has started in May 2021. And so 5 years after, the idea was to create a village, to create a space, to create a project that first of all is going to be an example for others of this living example, how regenerative development can look like. And we're going to speak a little bit later about the word regeneration, because it's such a kind of new buzzing word, but at the same time, many people are bypassing it because we're not exactly kind of connecting what does it mean. But for now, let's just say so. The idea was that we want to be these pathfinders or path creators for the others if they will want to use our example to create their projects, like people who have connected now and for saying that they're doing similar maybe things. And there are several projects now that are using our example from Portugal and from Indonesia, and some people projects in Costa Rica. And this is a great showcase for us that we together can learn from each other, and it's not, the objective is not to compete with each other with people who are doing the similar projects, but actually to cooperate, because we're not it's not like who's gonna win whom. For us, it's like we have to win over conventional development. We have to win over the conventional world and bring people back to live on Earth and to take stewardship of the planet, right? So the desire was like, how can we bring hundreds of different aligned residents from all over the world who are sharing the same ideas of living on this land? So that was the idea of this village. And to combine this space to make it like a healthy, wealthy, fun lifestyle, and also for us to create a path for our kids or future kids in my case, future potential kids still in my case, to learn from us, and also to create this safe space for them to grow into this well-balanced individuals who are not going to grow in a hippie commune, but who are going to grow in the balanced kind of project, which is properly integrated into the normal, let's say, day-to-day life, and who are going to see all the technological advancements, but at the same time, who will learn how to take care of the land, who will learn that the professions of a farmer or for post-harvesting or whatever educator are actually great professions, and they're so much needed. And at the same time, what we wanted this village, this project, to become a platform for us, that this kind of safe haven that which we all going to have, from which we are going to create more good in the world for our sake and for the sake of the world, for the sake of whatever generations are going to come. So as you can see, this is our land. It's actually it does look like Africa, no, like Africa on the map. Or like a heart. We never realized that it's kind of Africa and a heart have the same shape, more or less. So as you can see, it all started obviously from a plan, right? It was started from a dream. Out of 80 hectares of the land that we have, you can see, if I can bring it closer, you can see almost everything was deforested, and everything is an open field. So what we did was divided it into residential lots, and our residential lots start from half a hectare or 1.25 acres, whoever is from the States. And the way we did it is that we have a rule that not a single tree can be cut. So majority of the land, they either don't include trees, or whenever they include trees, these trees cannot be touched. And oops, sorry. And it all started from the plan of like how the village can look like. So it's all the divisioning, like many people when we talk about these projects, it's just like we don't understand how much work it takes for legal structuring, for infrastructure planning, for all the kind of the tip of the iceberg is this, but everything which is down there, it's hundreds of hours of lawyers, of financial planning, of whoever people are involved into that. And the true thing is you never can get it right. And whatever you're gonna make it in the very beginning, you're gonna keep changing it and changing it and changing it. And that's also the beautiful thing about projects like this, because they are the living example. You remember, that's what I was like, that's the very first that I said here, like to be a living example. And living example, guys, is that the project lives with you. The things that you're planning in the very beginning, if I would show you our initial master plans, maybe the general, like, lotification, say, so, like, right, like the division on lots is the same, but the way how things were changing is, it's incredible. And now obviously everything is pretty much set down, but it took us good 5 years to come to that point. So we were like, remember I was telling you about this healthy and kind of fun lifestyle. So the process was very simple. The process was like, how can we imagine this perfect place if it's everything, it would have, this village would have everything. So what shall it have, right? And we started with, like, of course it has to have like the spaces to work out, for us to be active, but also it has to be place for self-exploration, for self-expression, for realization. So we imagined for like to have art studios and music studio. Then we're looking forward into the future with our health, right? And we understand that conventional health systems kind of betrayed us in a sense, well, like many conventional systems. So we're looking into how can we create a preventative medicinal care where we won't treat symptoms, but we are going to work on ourselves to become the healthiest version of ourselves that kind of won't have symptoms, and we will live the longest possible and healthiest amount of years. And then obviously education was a big part of it. So we created, here it is, our own, we don't call it a school now, we call it a Center for Conscious Learning, but for the easiest understanding on the master plan, we still put it as a school. And we called it Arcadia because we were like fantasizing. I was like, wow, it was so cool to be like, yeah, I'm going to school to Arcadia. And so we called it Arcadia, and it's kind of a play of words between Ark and also Arcadia with C from Greek mythology, where it's like, rolling hills and that kind of perfect place where people were playing. And then like one thing started appearing after the other. So as you can see, the ARK is, out of all 80 hectares or 200 acres, we have these kind of 25 hectares of the jungle, which we use as our wildlife sanctuary. There is a river flowing down here, and we are obviously not going to touch it. We're going to make like some hiking trails over there. And the rest is divided into lots, and we have two entrances. This entrance is going to take you to the beach, and it's going to take you within 5 minutes to the beach. And this entrance is going to take you to the small airport in the Kobano, which is a kind of capital of our province, and it's like around 15-minute drive. So this is our home. And I tried to like really shrink the presentation so we could not go from like what it was and what it is now. Obviously, you can see that it was nothing, but what it is now is this. At the moment, we have 22 houses on the property that's built. So now we have 9 in the process of construction. 1 is in the process of finishing, and 8 we're starting building now. So this is on the photo. You can see one of the houses of one of our stewards. Our community is now like, it's a pretty international and diverse. We have 50 adults. Adults, our youngest adult is 35, our eldest is 60. We are not and we have 17 kids. Our youngest is 4. That's actually him. Here he's still 3, and our eldest is 16. He just left back to Switzerland. We are from 19 countries. Not all of us live on land full time, and this is an important thing to say. We're located in Santa Teresa, which is a tourist town. So I think maybe around 40% live here full time. For 60%, this is the main home base. For other people, this is a second home. So this brings this kind of the sense of people always coming and going, but we still have this community very pretty much settled among all of us. As of today, we have a working farm. This is not, I intentionally wrote, it's not a garden. It's a working farm. It's a size of 15 acres or 6 hectares. Out of these 6 hectares, 2 hectares or 5 acres are dedicated to bio-intensive production. Eventually, all 6 hectares or 15 acres are going to be dedicated to bio-intensive production. As of today, we have more than 400 species of different plants and trees. Remember, in the very beginning, I told you that we had only 13 when we started the project. And it's beautiful to see how our efforts in storing the land, we now have also a swimming pond and like a water reservoir that holds more than 1 million liters. And it's interesting how to see, like we started the project from the farm in June 22. It was the first thing that we started working on. How the food source, but even more the standing water source, brought a lot of wildlife and launched all the cycle. Like the amount of biodiversity and wildlife that we see now compared to what we have been seeing even like a couple years ago it's insane. Like just like within last 2 weeks, we between all of us seen, like, you know, the foxes, the coyotes, the ant eaters. We're not talking about like all sorts of different, I don't know, small animals and reptiles and you know, all sorts of species. In general, Costa Rica has 5% of biodiversity of the world. But the beauty of us seeing that this biodiversity is coming to the land, coming to the space where us humans are also coming back. This is, I believe, the example, and this is the objective and an intention of what was here when we started this project. So this is what is our farm. Aside of like what we're growing, this year we actually in end of last year we started processing the food. So whoever is starting the farm in their own projects, I can highly recommend is like you can literally like I believe you shall now. As soon as you start producing from the farm, you shall also have the post-harvest person and post-harvest center. So this is everything that we create in our farm with our food farm team. So you see we're creating our kimchi, the green pesto, I don't know, labne. Don't ask me, I don't know half of those things. I don't cook, but people who eat and cook, they find this amazing. And so this is literally like having our own post-harvest center pushed our production of the farm and started actually having it not as an amenity, but as an actual business. And again, if you're starting your process, get ready that the farm is very finance demanding adventure. So if you are not going to be creating post-harvest, if you're not going to be selling, get ready for large expense. So finally, thankfully, this is the first year that we're actually starting making our farm sustainable on financial side. But the beauty of like that we managed to sustain it for 4 years and just now started producing it. Now it's we're literally like winning the hearts and stomachs of so many people, because people have seen how the farm grew from a very little garden to what it is now. We sell all our products here, actually, where I'm connecting from. This is our very newest space. It's called the ARK House. And this is the beginning of our store. You see, we have 150 chickens on site. This is the beginning of our livestock. This year, we're planning to have some goats and a couple other animals. But this is the space. The ARK House is our space of like kind of shared work. This is where we create from our hearts, and this is kind of, I wouldn't say a co-work. It's like kind of hanging out space from which we're creating. And this is also like something that just appeared in the last couple of months, and we're starting populating this space now. In this October, we're opening our music studio, which is called Tenet. And our music studio is now going to be in our interim location, with our permanent location getting built within the next 3 years. We're opening the studio together with our music engineers, Jeff Clays, who lives in Santa Teresa and has more than 30 years of music engineering experience, and with our 5-time Grammy Award-winning music engineering producer, Russell Elevado. That's both of them on the picture in our studio. And this is also like an important part, like, you know, remember when I was talking about the name, the ARK, it was just like a preservation of like, what would we preserve coming forward into this new civilization? And we believe that working with analog, with vinyl, with cassettes, with tapes is something that has to be preserved. Both Russell and Jeff are the maestros in this. Both of them only worked on analog. They don't record on digital. So this is like the largest step in us bringing the different type of culture and art and next level of artists to Santa Teresa, to the area, and putting Santa Teresa on the map of the global musical production, and obviously the ARK itself. So, but then another thing is also like, how do we connect our younger generation to everything that we are creating at the ARK? So this photo is like, you can see it's called Arcadia. It's our schools, or not a school, but Center for Conscious Learning. So our kids, or future potential kids, learn free here. This is our center is based on, well, it's a mixture of education of Montessori along with our own pedagogical approach. We don't have classrooms, but we have this kind of yurts, so kids don't sit, they run all day outside, and they use all the facilities of the ARK. So they go to our farm, they go to our shala, they go to all our different amenities and places, what I'm going to show you later on. So they use all our village as their learning playground. For now, we have 2 age groups for the kids from 3 to 6 years and from 7 to 12. Arcadia can feed 30 kids for now, and we're going to expand it up to 75 kids within the next couple of years. And as you can see, everything, all the environment is specially prepared for the kids. So they have their own space in Arcadia. They cook, they plant, they have their own farm. Everything is of their size. So this is a specially prepared environment. Our co-founders of the school, Edgar and Esperanza, here they are. They're indigenous from Ecuador that dedicated all their life to alternative education models. We don't like to call it alternative education because we believe that's the correct education model. We believe conventional education shall not be happening in general because it's creating obedient citizens rather than free-thinking individuals. So these are our kids studying in Arcadia. And we launched it in January 2026 as a pilot launch. And in September, so in less than a month, we're launching the first full educational year of Arcadia. This, for example, you can see these musical instruments, and this is everything that kids together with our companions, we don't call them teachers, with our companions, they're creating these musical instruments together. This musical instrument, this marimba, was made actually out of wood that was harvested on site. So this is our school, and this was the main idea, was like, how can we create this connective tissue where kids are not going to be studying separately from us, where we're living, and how they're going to absorb the lifestyle that we have chosen for ourselves, and how they're going to see this as a normality rather than something that they have to get to through therapies, ayahuascas, and what so on, and in their 40s. So this is part of our project, and us together with the kids, we learn and play here. This is our shala. This is our 200 square meters, or 2,200 square feet, maybe, space for gathering and classes and events. This photo was taken during an Indigenous Day that we were holding in this year, when we brought all the representatives of all indigenous tribes of Costa Rica to the ARK. We're going to repeat it in the end of January. Whoever wants to come and visit us during that time, you will meet all the representatives from all the tribes, and they're going to bring all their knowledge and wisdom and their crafts, and it's a very beautiful event. So this is one of the spaces that we have now at the ARK. We also built a couple of paddle courts and a pickleball court. This is kind of the drone shot of those, and now we're building the roof over this space. And this is also a space that we both share between adults and kids together. And aside of that, in general, the ARK is more about, as much as it is about spaces, but it's more about the vibe of what we're doing here. And we're creating, we're celebrating, we're learning, we're growing together. It is the space which we kind of all co-creating on different levels of involvement. And an important part to say, I believe, is that before starting the ARK, I've seen many projects in the world, and for me, something was not clicking. And this is for me personally, right? There is no right or wrong here. It was not clicking for me in the sense that I've seen intentional communities as in my perception, were too sticky for me, and the energy was too stagnant. When a lot of them didn't allow rentals, a lot of them had just the same community all the time, so there were no people passing by, and for me it just felt too boring in a sense. And then some projects were requiring people to participate in everything that they were doing together, so for my free expression it was somehow very limiting. So we came to this in the ARK, and to this idea that you pretty much can you're invited to participate in everything, but you're not forced to do anything. We're gathering well, at least a minimum once a month. Sometimes it's online, sometimes it's online in our community, offline in our community circles. And obviously the rest of the time we spend without agenda together, right? So like all the people, for example, that you see on the photo, yeah, these are the people who are there. I think there's me somewhere there, you know, with my partner, and like people from our community, and people who worked in the team, and people who are just coming and visiting the ARK. So it's like, you know, it's a mixture of us all doing different things all together. And our programming runs along the year. So it's like the gatherings, the markets, the events, the classes, the parties, the ecstatic dances, the learning, whatsoever, you name it, right? Like there are so many different things that are going on. So the vision is for us to hold this programming so that even if you are not planning to come and change your lifestyle and live at the ARK, you can always come and visit us even now and enjoy this lifestyle for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 months, for as long or as short as you want. So an invitation here is for you to come and stay with us. You can go to our website, and there's going to be the ARK rentals, and you can choose from any available accommodations. And these could be accommodations both like, you know, hotel rooms kind of, or rooms that are located in the ARK, or both. This could be houses of our residents or of our stewards, so you can stay in the houses. And this is not a traditional Airbnb. We don't do that, but it's actually places that our stewards or our residents are renting their spaces out. So you're truly going to live in the places where people live, you know. And that was the whole objective of bringing this warmth towards the rental rather than making it a soulless Airbnb project. And this comes to the, like, you know, the idea of also like, what is it? How does it all hold together, and what makes us unique? So first and foremost, hello. Yeah, maybe it was a mistake. First and foremost, the ARK, we don't have investors. We don't have an influence of outside capital. Means I have started this project with my own capital pretty much I was fortunate enough or hardworking enough to gather some sort of a capital by 2021. And when COVID happened, I just saw the world and decided that what am I going to do with, like, where I'm going to invest the money. And it's not about like investing for the return of it, but what is the world that I'm going to see and I want to have, and where I'm going to live. And I decided that instead of me having different real estate in whatever locations in the world, or me having my money in stock market and keep investing into the world that I don't believe anymore, I decided that I will better use my money to create the world that I want to leave to my kids. So therefore, I sold whatever I had, and here we are. That's how the ARK has started. And along the line, obviously, many people have joined, and many people are supporting it now, and many people like through purchasing the land or through purchasing whatever we're selling, and we're now reinvesting everything that we're generating into making the ARK what it is. But the beauty of it is that there is nobody from outside. There is no hedge fund. There are no investors who are not, outside who are dictating to the ARK what the ARK has to be, or how we have to create our prices, or what return of investment we have to bring. But at the same time, the idea was, how can we create through the ARK this kind of land-based enterprise? So it's not just intentional community or village, but it's rather a business that we all share in together. So the vision was to give back part of the profit. So we gave 31% back to our stewards. Stewards are the people who are joining the ARK and owning the land or fractional ownership. I will share a little bit in the about it in a bit. So whatever the project is generating, and it's very important to define, it's not that people are responsible for losses. People are not becoming shareholders of the project. People who are joining they're just participating in the profit. And when I got this land from this Costa Rican family that owned it since the 60s, also my vision was like, how can we keep locals on the land rather than taking them out and misplacing them? So aside of just purchasing the land from them, the idea was to give back part of the passive profit to them as well, so that it can sustain them for generations. So that was the invitation as well. And this is also the regenerative economical model that we're happy to share with other projects that are appearing in the world, and we're doing this. So whoever wants to get this information and to get any consultancy from my side or from the side of our team, you can also send us an email, and we'll be happy to help you to set it up in whatever location you are. And another part is we came up with this modality and our values that's called heart. So we always say that all our decisions are coming from heart. So from 5 kind of values, which is health. And this health is not only physical health, but it's also emotional, spiritual, mental health. So whatever we do has to like create this health, right? Like the planetary health, the whatever, like, you know, the wildlife health. It comes from equality. So no race, no language, no color skin, no gender, no sexual orientation is above another. And it's in a sense that all voices are equal and have to be respected the same way. Another one is autonomy. So this is autonomy of oneself. So there is no forcing into like tightness, right? It's like you're free to build the life you want, but it's also at the same time autonomy of the project. How we always, whatever we do, we look towards like, how can we be as self-sustainable as possible? So the ARK has its own water source. We are fully solar powered, as I said. Obviously, that's why we're having such a large farm, and we're going to grow our food production systems in order for whatever going to happen in the world, we can always be self-sustain ourselves. And if nothing's going to happen, no one's going to get hurt of too much food getting produced, right? Another one is regeneration. And I promised you that we're going to stay a little bit longer on this word. So remember in the 90s or beginning of 2000s, 90s, maybe not, beginning of 2000s, this word sustainability became very popular, and it kind of passed over because nobody kind of gave much importance to it. And sustainability means just like sustaining, right? It's just like keeping the state of the things as they are. And obviously, because of that harm that was done already to the ecosystems, just sustaining was not enough. So regeneration, what comes in place, and regeneration is pretty much is like creating conditions conducive to life, or in a simple terms is like restoring or repairing in a sense, maybe as well, right? Maybe fixing, but not that much. So like bringing back to life. And this is a big part, because as of today we have 40% of all land on Earth is degraded because of human activity. So it's either pasture land like we have here, or conventional farming that was destroyed because of all the pesticides, or just like monocultures like palm plantations for palm oil, and what's on, right? So an invitation for regeneration movement is not to search for the untouched sites, but to actually find the places like we did, which were already destroyed before by previous generation of humans. And also regeneration comes not only for nature, but it also comes for education, it comes for health, it comes for economical systems, for finance, right? So like giving back, circling the finance, not extracting the profits. This is also regeneration. So regeneration is one of our values. And another one is togetherness. Is like, how can we gather in this process of growth and coming to oneness with nature and one another, right? How can we cultivate, not artificially, but truly from this authentic point of like, how can we show up authentically one another for each other? How can we just spend great time and cultivate friendships, and friendships in the sense of growing together rather than ruining our lives together? And how can we just grow into the best versions of ourselves for the sake of the greater good on earth? And that's what is togetherness. And another thing what makes the ARK unique is we're located in tourist destination, and and it's important because majority of the projects that you're gonna see, I think now Gil is starting the same in Zanzibar, which is a great tourist destination, I heard. But majority of the projects, like whenever you're gonna find like I don't know, in intentional communities or eco villages whatsoever, they're located in the middle of nowhere, let's say so, and then it becomes this kind of sticky, boring pot of people just like living there, and no new people coming. And we believe for projects like this, it's important to be in tourist destinations so that you can always have this constant flow of new people. That in the end of the day, it's not just living for ourselves and making our lives great, right? It's a big part of it. But at the same time, how can we create projects that are going to inspire people, that tourists are going to come, and we're going to plant those seeds of consciousness, those seeds of inspiration, how things can be done differently in the world. And they're going back to wherever they live, and they're going to keep thinking like whenever the seed is planted, it's going to grow in some sort of ways, in some sort of time, but it's going to give the plant, and this plant is going to change the world in its own sense, in its own location. It's not necessarily that this person is going to change their life and they're going to move to Costa Rica or Hawaii or whatever, but maybe this person is going to go back to New York and is going to start growing their own tomatoes and just going to become 0.1% healthier and going to inspire somebody else and going to maybe make the neighborhood farm, and that's like step by step how we're going to make this world a more beautiful place that we know is possible. So this is about the ARK. There are two ways to join us. If you're going to go to our website, you're going to find this kind of place that also says stewardship. We intentionally chose this word because we believe that humans, we have to become or get back to be stewards of the land. So you can go there and you're gonna file either title, lots, or fractional ownership. So we call people either land stewards or seasonal stewards. And I'm not gonna stay long on that, just like, not to bother you. You can go to our website and you can leave your details and go through it. As I also understand there is a very mixed audience now here, and I actually would like to get back to the camera and to see you all and to start getting your questions and start giving you back the answers you maybe want to hear. So thank you so much. And this was it with the presentation with the slides. I'm gonna go back to stop sharing my screen and gonna go back to the video. Yeah. There is a Q&A there. Okay. Hi. Hey, hi everyone. Anybody wants to like unblock their microphone and go into the live questions, or I can start reading there is. I don't see it. Maybe you see it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Sach will help us with reading out the questions that you left in the Q&A, but also if whoever wants to unblock their mics and keep and asking in the real life, you're super welcome.
Okay, so the first question is, how do you measure and demonstrate that the ARK is actually regenerating the ecosystem rather than simply minimizing the environmental impact of a new residential development?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. We actually started doing it just now. We didn't, unfortunately, do it in the very beginning. And there are two reasons why we didn't do it in the very beginning. First of all, insufficient funds. to do that. And also we didn't know how to do that. But now we're starting getting into the measurement of the biodiversity. Well, we did it in the when we did the initial study, we have 100 pages report of the land, what was present and everything. And now what we're seeing is it's an obvious development of the increase of wildlife species and everything. But now the idea is to start building the biodiversity map, to have the photo traps of the wildlife. And actually, this is a good question, because whoever is starting the project, I personally regret a lot that it wasn't done at that stage, because then we would have something like the measurable data to compare it with. And also, another thing is that what we're looking into is to measure the biodiversity of soil. We created more than 400 tons of soil ourselves now since the beginning of the project, and we're going to create much more. The thing is that conventional cattle raising left us with almost no soil. If you're going to be on the ARK, you're going to see our soil is very, the productive layer of the soil is very thin. It's less than 3 centimeters. And now, obviously, the soil that we're producing is much more biodiverse. But the question of measuring it rather than just observing it and having it as the good feel kind of sense, that is something that we didn't do. And I personally regret it a lot. But this is obviously never too late to start. But if you're doing your project, it's better to start from the very beginning. And most probably now, when I started the ARK, AI was not at all at the place where it is now. I believe now with AI, you can create the ways so much more easier. At that time, you would have to hire consultants and everything. But now with AI, you can do it pretty much yourself, and with couple measured photo traps and I don't know, the soil biodiversity measures.
The next question is, of more than the 400 plant species established on the land, how many are native species, and how many do you assess whether this increase in plant diversity represents genuine ecological restoration?
Mainly we're planting native species, obviously, native to Costa Rica, and some of those species, they were not native to Costa Rica way long before. But yeah, mainly this is native species. And it's not only because what we want to do, but it's also what is growing here, right? This climate is pretty specific for whatever can grow here. And so therefore, majority of what we plant is native species. Thank you.
And the last question I have on the Q&A here is, how do you integrate ecological education into the children's daily experience? And how do you help them understand the relationship between biodiversity, soil, water, and food production?
Thank you. That is a great question. Maybe I've seen Esperanza here on the call. And maybe Esperanza can better reply to this question than me, because she is the one who is leading Arcadia. Esperanza, ¿entendiste la pregunta? ¿Quieres responder en español y yo traduzco? Sí. Estás muteada.
Repíteme la pregunta.
La pregunta es cómo nosotros estamos dando este conocimiento a los niños de qué es biodiversidad y cómo es prácticamente cuidar la naturaleza, digamos así, en los términos simples.
Primero, The ARK es la comunidad intencional y el eje educativo es Arcadia. Y obviamente los valores de Arcadia deben corresponder con los valores de The ARK. Porque una comunidad intencional...
Perdón, me das otro... Gracias. This is Esperanza. She's the co-founder of Arcadia. So what she says is that the ARK is an intentional community, and the educational axis of the ARK is Arcadia. And the values of Arcadia, they have to grow from the values of the ARK itself.
Okay. The ARK respeta los procesos de vida de la Pachamama y del ser humano en las diferentes etapas de desarrollo.
The ARK respects the processes of life of Pachamama, of Mother Nature, and humans in the different stages of life.
Entonces, es importante que nosotros también respetemos la ecología interna del niño.
So therefore, it's also important that we respect the internal ecology of a child.
Un niño viene con un potencial ilimitado, asombroso.
A child comes to this world with an unlimited potential.
Y por lo tanto, ese potencial que es ilimitado debe activarse en un ambiente preparado y lo mejor, el ambiente ideal es la naturaleza.
And therefore, this potential has to get activated in a prepared environment and moreover in an environment in nature.
Si un niño recibe respeto, él también respeta a las plantas, a los animales, porque él lo vive.
If a child gets respected, then this child is also respecting back, and this respect transfers to nature and to everything alive.
En Arcadia preparamos el ambiente para que el niño pueda activar ese fabuloso potencial humano.
In Arcadia, we're preparing an environment that every child can activate this fabulous internal unlimited potential.
Y Arcadia está articulada, como ya lo mencionó Marat, está articulada a toda la dinámica de la comunidad y a los recursos que tiene la comunidad.
And Arcadia, as Marat said, is articulated into in all the community and everything that the ARK has.
Por ejemplo, los niños van a la granja y miran cómo se siembra, se cuida las plantas, cómo se protege de peligros, y ellos también lo hacen porque un niño ve las referencias y las reproduce.
For example, kids regularly go to the farm, they observe how the workers work, they also do it, they observe how to avoid the dangers, and therefore they also repeat this, because one child, by seeing that's how they're learning, right? And and they repeat, and that's through this play they're learning.
Y por último, a nivel general, los niños en un ambiente tranquilo, en un ambiente de libertad, toman contacto con sus necesidades internas y buscan por decisión propia lo que les gusta hacer y asumen la responsabilidad de su libertad.
And at the same time, and the last thing, the kids that are growing in the free and loving and caring and respected environment, they are at the same time, they take responsibility for their freedom. And this, again, as was said, is like translated further on into their behavior and their interactivity with nature. Gracias, Esperanza.
I have two more questions. One follows up on Arcadia. It's, will the Costa Rican government approve the educational program so that children currently in Arcadia can go to attend university or change schools?
La pregunta, ¿entendiste, Esperanza, o necesitas traducción?
Sí, bueno, yo quiero primero decir que Costa Rica, desde mi experiencia, es un país que brinda oportunidades. Y el tipo de educación que nosotros hacemos, ellos están abiertos a que nosotros podamos llevar a la praxis estos nuevos enfoques educativos. Lo que sí se requiere es de que esté adscrito, acreditado, y nosotros lo estamos haciendo como un centro de atención integral que está adscrito al Ministerio de Salud.
First of all, I want to say that Costa Rica is open for the alternative educational programs, and this is the country where such things are possible. And in Arcadia, we are registered as the Center for, in English it would be Center for Holistic Attention, I think so, and in the Ministry of Health. So, but at the same time,
Ya tuvimos la experiencia con otro proyecto educativo llamado Casa Sula y tenía la misma modalidad y los niños cuando querían cambiar a otro establecimiento educativo a la secundaria, sí lo pudieron hacer.
Esperanza and her partner Edgar had an experience of having a school in Costa Rica that was called Casa Sula. You can Google this school and you will find a lot of videos about it. And it was for 8 years and registered on the same modality. And the kids from that school, they could graduate and go to the colleges and universities.
Algunas familias que viajan también se amparan en escuelas sombrilla como la West River Academy y también otra escuela me parece que es Florida, pero estas escuelas ahora amparan y acreditan cuando los padres educan en casa o están en sistemas alternativos de educación.
Gracias. There is also, for people who want to go international, there is a West River Academy with whom Arcadia has a strategic contract, where kids from Arcadia can get the diplomas from that academy that's located in California. And with this diploma from there, kids can apply to whatever university or college in the world. Gracias, Esperanza.
The last question I have here is about the ownership. There's another question that just came up, but let's answer this one first. So there's some confusion around ownership, stewardship, and buying shares in a company. I think you went through that a little quick, so I think people didn't grasp the differences.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'll go through it quick as well. But pretty much we created different modalities for people to join the ARK as let's say so, to make the ARK your home, to make it in simpler terms, right? There is the main modality, let's say so, is when you buy land, right? And this is a title land that goes into your name. And this land goes from half a hectare and goes up almost up to a hectare. And this is one main modality. But then what we realized also is that us living in the tourist destination, not everybody comes to live for a full year, or also sometimes people, it's outside of their financial abilities to buy the full lot and build a house. So therefore, we have also created the modality that is called fractional ownership. And fractional ownership is that when you buy shares in the company and this company owns a land together with several houses on it. So you can come and stay on the property, and then whenever you don't want this property anymore, you can sell it. So that's a pretty fractional ownership is pretty much like a popular concept now in the world of owning whatever, different, not only real estate, but whatever you want to own in different fractions, in different parts. Let's say so. So these are two modalities how you can join the ARK, right? And this is ownership. Both of them are ownership. And stewardship is something that we came up with as a name in the ARK to give this kind of status to our people who own properties within the ARK. Yeah, I hope that explains it.
Great. Another question: if you purchase a plot, are there people at the ARK to help build a house? How does it work in terms of accessing to water and electricity? Presumably, it's a paid service. And what about treatment of gray water and backwater and black water?
Thank you. Great question. Yes, we realized that first of all, that majority of people who have joined the ARK have never built in their life, or moreover never built in Costa Rica. So we came up with this service that's called Owner's Rep. In simple terms, we do have this service, and we take our people from the very beginning when people choose their land, and we work with our Costa Rican architects or who work with you all along the process through developing the project, making engineering, getting the permits, observing the construction, taking care that the prices that vendors are giving are correct ones, and pretty much observing all the process from A to Z, where you just have to talk to our representative once a week. And we're leaving to you just the pleasant problem. So pleasant participation in the construction, which is like the color of the tile, the design, and then you think, oh, maybe I want to have an outdoor shower here as well. So like our team takes care of all of that. And this has proven to be very simple and very easy process for our stewards, and at the same time, very effective. We just have finished one more house under this modality. So it works pretty well. About the gray and black water treatment, yes, we don't have a centralized, and in Costa Rica in general, in rural locations, there are no centralized kind of canalization or water treatments. So all water treatment is individual. We prohibit septic tanks because of their effect on environment. So what has to be installed is the water treatment plants. And pretty much water treatment plants have several chambers, and out of the last chamber, you can use this water. It's a technical water that you can use back to water your garden, or you can send back to your house to use in the bathrooms. So all of that water, we have our own water source that we built and donated to the government. So every lot has its own water connection. And electricity, as I said, is fully solar. So solar has to be purchased in addition to the land. Thank you.
Those are all the questions in the chat. I think we can open it up live if anybody wants to unmute their mic and have a question for Marat. Please, now would be a good time. Okay, wait, I got one more. In what price range are the properties that are there for sale, or maybe how much is the land for sale, like ranges?
We, as of today, I think let's use American dollar as a general kind of. You can go also on our website with stewardship, and you're gonna find an interactive map with prices. And this interactive map is going to also make the conversion into your currency wherever you're from, or main currencies. If we talk about American dollar, US dollars, that's gonna be from $375,000 for 1.25 acres or half a hectare, and then the price goes up, and that's like depending on the size of the land, depending on the views on different modalities. And talking about the fractional ownership or seasonal stewardship, it starts from $25,000 per share, and then it gets cheaper the more shares you buy. I'm afraid, or not afraid, I'm happy that the first project is almost sold out, I believe. So, but we maybe have several shares still there. Thank you. Guidelines of the ARK. I see the question of Gil, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
See.
Sorry, let me just Gil, so the answer is there, like, the question of Gil is like, how do we make sure that owners follow the guidelines of the ARK? That's a very good question. Well, we have certain architectural guidelines, we have the guidelines of behavior. It's a very complex system that is in our case that we decided to create, to connect it to the profit sharing, to connect it to the participation of people in the community and their access to the amenities. So before the construction, people have to submit their projects to the ARK so that we can approve the project before the construction, before the municipal permits. In the majority of the cases, we're supervising the construction, so we're doing it ourselves. So people, before they join the ARK, they receive an extensive list of documents and of the guidelines and the guidelines of behavior. So people kind of have to sign the contract that they understand, and then they agree on all of that, and they know that what is kind of waiting for them. And then later on, the behavior is enforced through profit share and through ecological easements. It's a very complex legal structure. Obviously, it's going to be different from country to country, depending on your situation, wherever you're going to be in, if you're going to be making the similar project. In Costa Rica, there were two ways. One was like to make a condominium, which is like a traditionally accepted kind of model here, which is a very conventional and didn't fit to what we were creating from the very beginning. And the second way is to create as we did it, which is a connection of different lots, right? So yeah. Carlos has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. I just had a question before we go any farther. A couple of questions. I heard that you were planting native trees, and reforestation is part of the regenerative process of. I wonder if you guys are planting fruit trees as part of your farm, and if there's like some sort of plan focused on that, because I love fruit, and in the tropics, that's one of the best things of creating paradise and free food for the future. So yeah, I want to know a little bit more about that tropical fruit forest, if that's something in the vision. And also I'm interested in the water. Like you mentioned, you had a river. I just heard that you got pipes from the government coming in.
Yes.
And if you know much about the quality of that water that is coming in from the government into your homes, like what type of stuff they're using to treat it. And also if you know much about the state of the water in that river, and if you have any clean, potentially drinkable springs or water sources nearby.
Thank you, Carlos. Great questions. Yes, we're planting about the fruit forest. Pretty much majority of what we're planting are fruit trees. And also it's maybe a good idea for people who are going to be making similar projects. So there is bio-intensive production where we're, let's say, the farm itself on which we're counting as a harvest, and then everything that we plant along the streets is either fruit trees or agroforestry systems which are producing food. It's pretty much the vision, and the idea is that people walking by the streets of the ARK, we have around 3 kilometers of the streets, that you can just pick up whatever you want to pick up along the way. So everything that we're planting, the vision is not to just bring back the forest, but it's to create the edible garden, edible forest. Yeah. So this is about fruit trees. The water, yeah. So what we did, water in general, it's so funny in Costa Rica because that's one of the most, I think, rain abundant countries in the world. But at the same time, water is of scarcity. And in general, what we see in the future is going to be fresh water scarcity in general in the world. So from the very beginning, there were two paths pretty much. One path was either to create bunch of wells. We do have our own wells. We have 3 good wells on the land. But the idea is like to obtain construction permits on your titled land, you should have a water source. So it could be either a well, and in our case, we have 93 residential lots. So that meant to make 93 wells, which is obviously not the way we wanted to operate the project. Or another way was to create a well on the designated land and to donate it and to build all water infrastructure through all the ARK and to create kind of centralized water aqueduct. And in order not to maintain it ourselves, to donate it to the government, so government could connect a neighboring town to this aqueduct. So we gave kind of water availability to this neighboring town, and also to connect us and to give us this water availability for the ARK, which we did. It was a pretty substantial investment that costed us almost $1 million, but the result of it is that every lot is connected to the water. It is a governmental water. You have very right observation that it is a conventional water. They treat it unfortunately with chlorine, so we put filters against chlorine wherever we have like drinkable water. And for the farming use, we're using our own water from the wells. And so therefore, it's kind of the work around there like that. We obviously did all the measurements of the water. It's a clean water, but it's a conventional governmental water. So the water source is ours, but at the same time, we're still paying for the water. The potable water in Costa Rica is very cheap. Your water expense would be less than $50 a month. And the beauty of it is that the government is kind of maintaining the infrastructure. So one thing is like to build the infrastructure, it was expensive, but maintaining the infrastructure is always a big problem. So we didn't want to have anything to do with the maintenance. So therefore, that's why we did the way we did it. I hope I answered.
I could also add, talking to some residents who just recently built houses, they built rainwater systems in their home. And actually the rainwater systems kind of work with the ASADA, the government water. And if they have rainwater that gets treated, they use that. If that runs out, then it flips over to the ASADA or vice versa. So they're never, one, out of water, but two, they lower their bill and can be use clean water and kind of have their own water system. So I think that's a better way to go if you're building than building a well, since there's so much rain in the region.
Thank you, Sach. Yes,
Yeah.
great.
There's one more question here from Annette. She said, are you set up for individuals to come and temporarily live to assess everything before investing? And are there options for work, trade during that time, as I have skills in education, natural building and design, sustainability, et cetera, et cetera?
Thank you. Yes, we have options we're now implementing the volunteer program. Definitely there is a under that kind. It's not a path purely for people to come and discover if you want to purchase, right? Because otherwise we would have hundreds of people here all the time. so it's more like a volunteer program. If you coming under volunteer program, it's kind of work exchange situation. We're gonna be having it published on the website and under our newsletter. So make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. And we're actually launching it within the next couple of months. And this volunteer program is going to last for every person between 2 to 3 months, at least. And of course, if you want just to come and visit and to explore, there is a rental program when you just can come and just stay with us for a weekend to explore Santa Teresa and the ARK and us. And actually, that's what we're asking from every person to do. We do not sell online. We do not sell like real estate, like lots online. So you have to kind of come and spend time with us, because the process of purchasing at the ARK is not just you choosing the project. It's also us choosing you, right? It's a fair exchange. So if you're going to be making this decision, please make sure to come and visit us. Thank you, Annette.
And I'll just say one thing about the lot purchases and that process. So if that, again, Marat didn't want to focus that as a sales call, but if that is something you're interested in, the way to do that is to go to the website. I posted the link to fill out the stewardship form. And then once you share that, you'll get a link to my calendar, and we will have a private, 30, 40-minute call, kind of dive deeper into fractional and all the things that maybe might be a little confusing. We can talk about the lots, kind of share with you, what's been purchased, what's available. And then from that process, if there's interest, we invite you to come spend at least 3 days here, meet the team in person. We'll have a calendar of events for you. You can rent a place anywhere from less than $100 to a beautiful nice house. And then at that point, we kind of through that weekend give you the invitation to make the purchases. And as long as everyone's aligned and that's something you want to do as well. So just kind of give you a little brief on that process. The form is the first place to.
Thank you, Sach. Amazing. There is also a question, I believe, from Mohammed about if the ARK model could be replicated in other regions, countries, and etc. Yes, actually, yes. And this is personally my kind of focus of work. The more I'm kind of taking myself out from the operations and of our accelerator for regenerative startups that we're creating now at the ARK, which is called ARK Ventures. This is something that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be helping. There are going to be like 3 things we're working now on the blueprint, which we're going to hand over as a book to people for like doing the project like the ARK, which is going to include like the legal structuring, the financial regenerative economy system structuring, the farming, the whatsoever, like kind of do-it-yourself guide. And then also we are going to have a service of consultancy and implementation of the projects. We're not going to replicate the ARK, so there are not going to be a bunch of ARKs in the world, but our objective is to help to people to create similar projects and help you to make them successful and sustainable. And this was born from this desire, first of all, to be an example, but at the same time acknowledging that if somebody would have given something and helped us in the very beginning, we would avoid so many mistakes. And the amount of mistakes I personally did in this process are just immense. And it's not about like, feeling myself culpable for it, but it's rather like recognizing that things could be done more efficient, maybe quicker, and in a, I wouldn't say in a better way, but it's just like more sustainable way for the project. We're blessed and grateful that everything is happening the way it is happening, but at the same time, if we would repeat it another 10 times, like guys, it would be a very different thing. So yes, definitely it's possible, and this is the work that we're now giving consultancy to a couple projects already. One is in Costa Rica, one is in Portugal, and more projects are coming towards us. So if you are planning to start something like this, you can always drop a line in the email, and I'll be happy also to even just now in the like just personal help while it's not yet structured as a service, and later on to also give you a service if you decide to go for it. Thank you for the great question. Any more questions do we have? How are we feeling? All good? Yeah, good, perfect. Shall we? It's been good 80 minutes. Shall we be rounding this down, and that's okay? We feel complete. Yeah, amazing.
Yep.
Cool. Contact letter for news. I think it's on the website, right?
Yeah, it's I'll just put in the chat.
But also we're gonna send you all the we're gonna send you a follow-up email, I believe, after this, and we're gonna be in touch. I think if you have subscribed to this webinar already, you are in our database, so we're gonna be sending you our newsletters, and we're gonna be repeating these. We're going to be repeating this from time to time, maybe every couple of weeks. It's going to be broader, shorter. We're always going to be sharing latest news and updates. So definitely follow us in Instagram. It's theark.world. And you're going to be seeing a lot of like kind of day-to-days there. And in general, thank you so much for connecting, for spending time, for gifting your time, for your interest in this kind of process, in this development in the sense of like not in the real estate development, but development of what we're building with this world all together. Thank you so much. It's really pleasant that there are so many people who are interested in this movement.
Marat, if you're still there, I could not get the hand raise. This is Annette. I have another question, if you've got a minute.
Of course.
So I have traveled and lived in Costa Rica repeatedly in education with high school on down with sustainability, and started doing that early 90s. And the last time I lived there and worked at a sustainable school, there was quite the demise in the education goals from originally when I was there. So do you have any plans to link what you're doing to high school age kids and incorporate career technical education?
Thank you. That's a great question. Thank you so much. That's an amazing question.
Sure.
Actually,
it's important to me.
It is important for sure, definitely. And this is why we still don't have let's say school for or like space for an Arcadia for kids over 12. We first we see that the natural transition of the kids, we prefer them to join us in the younger stage. So because like re-educating, say so, from a conventional system, more than kids, I believe, and Esperanza won't give me to lie here, I believe it's more than kids, it's even more parents. We've seen how, I personally seen, obviously Esperanza and Edgar, they have seen it a lot before. I personally have seen how much we are intoxicated with overstimulation in our conventional educational system when people are just getting to Arcadia, and then there is this kind of hard stop on parents' nervous systems, when they're like running for the first month in the panic that their kids are bored, that they are underperforming, that they're going to be behind, and then kids are actually having great time and parents are like getting worried. So it is a lot of work that is involved with parents. And after a couple of months, the parents are like, "Oh my God, this is actually so great, and it's the best thing that was happening to my child." But aside of that, also, the kids after 12, we see that with everything that is happening now in the world, as much as we want to maintain the educational concept within Arcadia, but also we want to invite the kids over more towards the world that we are creating with the ARK. Means our the space from where I'm connecting, which is the ARK house, our say co-creation space, right? The space for work. This is the space for kids also for 12 plus, so that kids can come and learn entrepreneurship. We have programs already designated that we're going to start implementing from this October for entrepreneurial courses for young kids, for kids over 12. And this is implementation of them also like coming and learning from the professions that we have within the village established, which is both like, music engineering and whatsoever, the farming. So it's not just like, what is an education in the disconnected concept from the real life, say, but it's rather like the Arcadia is the baseline plus what we are all living together and implementing kids into the real life environment. And also this is another big step is right, like we don't have screens in Arcadia. I think our I know that our objective is not to have screens, but also we're looking into the world. It's a very delicate moment in time, right? Like where we are now, we are very close, I believe, to singularity with the artificial intelligence. We at the same time we want our kids to grow into these connected individuals with themselves, with their emotions, with the higher consciousness, but also we don't truly want them to become like Tarzans, which are going to look at the computer and won't understand what to do with it, right? So this is a very delicate moment where we believe that kids over 12 can actually work, but like not to become dependent on like on their iPads and like I've seen it literally with kids, like and we all seen, right, like when they get just like hypnotized by this different reality that they see on the screen. But actually, how can we create a sustained relationship between a person, an individual, and a tool, which is AI and the computer or whatsoever, and to know how to use it, because we have to, it's not going to go away, right? And we have to use it, but we have to use it consciously. And how do we create projects with it rather than just getting consumed by it? So again, for me personally, it's also an important question because I'm an aspiring father or father wannabe, and we have a lot of friends who are fathers and who are mothers, and they're part of this community. And for us, it's a sensitive topic, right? For the kids who are now 2 and 3, and like what is the world is going to look like. We all know somehow from what we're receiving from outside world of technology that 2027 is going to be a very serious year for AI, and it might be a very disturbing year also for the world, when AI is going to take over. Truly, people are going to start feeling over how AI is taking over the jobs. So let's see what's going to be, but we're planning to implement education for kids over 12 within the next couple of years, and then it's going to go up to 18 for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer. And I sent you a direct message as well because of an email I sent on the last virtual tour. But this is Costa Rica is why I became an educator, and I don't want to drop that goal. So if there's some way that you could take 10 minutes out of your crazy busy schedule, I need to connect with you sooner than later, and you'll see my message. Thank you very much. But there's nothing more important than modeling the skills for future kids, because we're not going to solve any of this if we don't automatically fold this into youth. We could do all the sustainability we want, but if we're not empowering them and experientially including them, we're not going to make the changes we need.
100%. 100% agree. Yes, and this is always what we're talking.
Thank
and I
you.
believe Esperanza I'm happy to connect you with Esperanza, and Aneta will find you your email. And I know that you will have a lot to talk about, and maybe there could be some collaboration built. But definitely, yes, this is exactly what we're always talking about. It's just like it's such I can't even find a word in English, but it's such a underperformance in a sense is if we build the projects like this just for ourselves to enjoy, and we don't think about this continuity and rite of passage, right? Like for the younger generations and for them growing into and taking over, and then just like or going to conventional schools, right? And just like not absorbing and growing up later on, like, and being like, oh yeah, my parents were in this kind of project, but now I am living a completely different life. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Annette. I will connect you with Esperanza. Thank you. Any more questions? I think we're good, no? Thank you, guys. If you are planning to come to visit us, please do. We'll spend some time here in person. If you're gonna be overlooking at us through online, Instagram, I believe, is the best way to connect with us. And yeah, let's keep in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you for the team for participating and organizing. And thank you everybody for your questions and for your interest. Thanks a lot. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you, Marat. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.